Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen J Lotus, King Sunkiss, coming at y'all right quick, right fast, maybe, for a relaxed royale review for Reasonable Doubt Season 3, Episode 7. And the name of this episode is Lost One. Now, y'all, I ain't gonna tell no lie to you. This is probably not finna be as in-depth and detail of a review as the others. Not because I dislike the episode, but honestly because I dislike Mama Lou, and I'm not sure what exactly the writers want us to feel. I feel like what they did with this episode was absolutely necessary and absolutely done immaculately well. I think it's a great episode. I think it was great casting, all of the things. I if I had to if I had to guess what they want us to feel, I do believe they want us to be a bit pissed off. I do believe that they want us to be quite triggered in a plethora of different ways, as well as whatever the ways are that comes up. I also feel like they want to trigger thoughts, questions, conversations about should, and this is how I'm gonna word it, but is it right to forgive out of guilt and or because somebody is dying? And or is there a world where you can still be like, fuck that shit, it'll get better with time? Simply stated. Simply stated, there is. I also feel like, as of course, much of the series, of course, is through the lens of Jax, right? So I do believe as well the conflict of emotion is also a reflection of the writers communicating Jax's reality that is very much so entangled in cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance, in case you don't know, is in simple terms two juxtaposing and or extremely contrasting realities, extremely different realities existing at once in disharmony. It is the opposite of duality. Somewhat of an opposite of duality. It's a corrupt form of duality. Okay, so that being said, I ain't gonna waste no time. I'm gonna go ahead and get right into the specificities of this episode and my thoughts and opinions, because this review is gonna be more of my thoughts and opinions as I pinpoint what I feel like the important details conducive to the overall story. So, of course, we pick up the episode with Eddie and Louis done told Jax the tea by Lou having cancer. So Jax is, of course, distraught and disheveled, up in arms. I feel like a cognitive dissonance that's going on with her in this scene is her being pissed off and disturbed by them having known something that she didn't, and her having an extremely hard time with not knowing everything. And also, as we get into her background and whatnot that is displayed in this episode, it makes even more sense why she's so obsessive with trying to know every little fucking thing. Because it's understandable that you want to make sure everybody in your life is being honest with you, right? But also, it's impossible for you to know every single thing at the exact moment that you feel like you're supposed to know. Like, it's gonna always be a time where somebody knows something that you don't, and they know before you, and they have to come tell you. You can't be mad that it's a time and a place to receive a message from a messenger. You can't really be mad that it's a time and a place that you are not the messenger. Okay, it's a time and a place for everything. All right. Like, there's like what unrealistic expectations amongst, of course, this her mama, and it's a drastic situation. So also totally understandable that she is worked up about it amongst, getting hit with it low key, high key, out of nowhere. And you know how men can be just saying fragments of information, and it's like, okay, go ahead and elaborate. Why I gotta sit up here and ask 50 questions for you to give me the details? If you gonna tell me, go on and tell it all. Damn near cried when I got that phone call. Jack so though, she don't know what to do but to cuss out Louis and punk ass Paul from being Mary Jane. So yeah, she starts snapping on them low-key, high-key, amongst venting and releasing her emotions and such. Like, bro, I don't give a fuck what the hell happened today. Like, since I walked through that door, everything's about whatever it is that you're talking about. Like, please, like, what the fuck is going on? Okay, like I said, understandably so. I feel like this scene was depicted very well. Jax's monologue about her experience and, finding out and her emotions that she was going through in the moment. I feel like it was done very well, performed very well, all of the things. I cannot get into the catharticism of sympathy surrounding the situation because I feel like I'm experiencing another catharticism that's also happening in the scene. So it's like I'm choosing, I am choosing between the juxtaposing realities for Jax here. Because on one hand, Jax is feeling what she's supposed to feel. And on another hand, those feelings are blinding her sense of discernment that this confession, this revelation, is cloaking something else. It's deflecting from something else and making her responsible for everything once again. One way or another. Ain't that a bitch? So, as we proceed to give you R&B motherfuckers what you need, and what you need is Jax and her takeover spirit about to try to assume the position to take over the situation and figure out if they can get second, third opinions, if they can get some like I guess elongated treatment, figure out contributor. You know, she's trying to see all of the things to get the information that she feels like ain't being got. You know, all of that. So don't want to tap into. I'll go to the flashback momentarily. First, I'm gonna talk about Jax confronting her mama about the information and the fact that her mama kept the information from her. And her mama acting like Jax don't have a reason to feel no type of way. Almost like, yeah, this situation is about Mama Lou and her health and what's best for her amongst overall. All the while, I feel like it's some trickery dickery doc. The mouse done ate the hands off the clock. And Mama Lou think I'm stupid. Jax might be a little willfully stupid right here in this moment, but I'm smarter than a fifth grader. And I say all of that to say because you told Eddie, kept it from Jax, but then also, and it's gonna lead me to, you know, another thing that I was thinking about at the very beginning. You told Eddie, but then also, this is following up to off the backs of when Jax confronted you the other day. And you gonna fucking say to her, you ain't gonna be around forever for her to blame you for all of her problems and all of that shit. So you said that shit to her, knowing that your ass was sick. And so now that shit is lingering in her psyche amongst every motherfucking thing else, all them other poisonous ass seeds that you done planted in her damn psyche. Which is why this cognitive dissonance is here. Why she being ping-ponged between her emotions of rage and defensiveness, like she being fucking played with like a goddamn toy, because she is. Amongst feeling exactly what she, you know, has every right and reason to feel, which is distraught, you know, grief, shock, turmoil, all of that shit. So that's why I feel like the lens that we're looking through, especially in this episode, is giving us a full double mirrored view of the cognitive dissonance that Jax is in, and it being put right up in front of her as like a crossroads. And it's showing this 10 of Wands energy on her. And if you don't know, 10 of Wands is someone literally carrying 10 big ass, heavy ass wands on their back. And many of those rods are not their own. And so what I'm referencing here is that Jax is carrying fucking 10 big ass rods on her back. And at least 9 of them are her mama's. And that's why this episode is so good, and also why it's so fucking irritating. Because very much so like the sexual assault of Ozzy in the previous episode by Monica when he's having sex with the stripper, and Monica, I'm going to use the term vicariously, and Monica vicariously sexually assaults him in the way that she does, creating a cognitive dissonance, rage, as well as sadness in him in that moment. And that was a kind of a impactful, brief moment that we got with Ozzy, and we're getting a whole episode of it with Jax. Minus the elements of sexual assault is a different form of frequency of abuse going on here in this episode that has fed into Jackson's cognitive dissonance. Honey. So, it's so fucking crazy because her mama has dressed this up as if she didn't tell Jax to shield her from it and not make her responsible for it and all of that shit. I feel more so one part of this is her passive aggressively making Jax responsible for it, because she knows Jax. She knows exactly how she is, and Mama Lou is quite the sociopath, which would entail that she pays very close attention to the patterns, activities, likes, dislikes, needs, and desires of the people closest to her, but not so that she can be of benefit to them, so that she can use it to her own benefit and weaponize it against them when it's convenient. And so she knows that the best way to get Jax to take care of her is to break her down first. And let's take that back to a line that Eddie says to Jax maybe an episode or two ago, when he says, enablers want and or value, whichever word he used, but enablers want you most when you're broken. And we get a clear view in this episode that out of all the enablers that he mentioned in that episode when he was telling Jax his addiction story, he did not ever mention her mama, even though she was one of his closest and seemingly his first enablers, one of his main enablers. All of this on the road bullshit, and what we see in this episode is a lot of that shit happening in-house, right in front of Jax. And so also take it back to some bullshit that he said, and I told y'all I don't trust shit that come out of the throat of punk ass Paul from being Mary Jane. Let alone when he sat his motherfucking ass up there to Lewis grandstanding and shit, talking about, Lisa, I took my shit show on the road. No, the fuck you didn't. You did not take your shit show on the road, Craig. You up here doing your business, your medicine as you call it, in front of your daughter, right in front of her, right over in the kitchen, right over in the next room while she's sitting in the living room watching cartoons, bars. No pun intended. All you do is lie, just a lie, built on a lie that was built, just lie. Lion King, lie. Child. So, where I want to kick off, honey. So, another aspect I want to pick up on as we get into the flashbacks. One of the first flashbacks that we see, something I want to point out about the actor they chose to play Eddie in the flashback is he has more of this like Cheshire Cat type of look. He does. It's real good casting. They do have similar features, but punk ass Paul from being Mary Jane has more of a fuller face. You could say that he put on more weight in his face the older he got, and probably more as an effect of the drugs as well. Also, I feel like in like casting director type choice, in older age, you tend to infantilize people for more reasons than one. A lot of reasons I won't get into the depths of, but in a lot of cases, a lot of people tend to infantilize elders. I've been picking up on this running theme of infantilization. So the guy that plays Eddie when he's younger, he does have like a youthful baby-esque face about him, but it's more like a bad kid. He has more of a bad kid type face, just in simple terms, which also would give why I would use that term Cheshire Cat. He has a Cheshire Cat type of look to him, kind of that mischievous look like his name could be Sylvester. Whereas punk ass Paul from being Mary Jane, he also looks like a cat, but he looks more like a somewhat friendly tomcat, even though his ass ain't shit. Bars. No pun intended. So all that said, another thing I want to point out in this scene is when they're all as a family, punk ass Paul from being Mary Jane and Mama Lou and Baby Jax in the flashback. Mama Lou and Eddie, they're dancing, to the music, all of that shit. And I noticed that Jax is kind of like a third wheel in the scene, in the situation, in the dynamic. Jax is like a third wheel. And it's like, not only is she a third wheel, but she's also like an audience member to her parents' relationship, their dynamic, their life. And so much so, she ends up trying to occupy herself in the moment, goes over, fiddle faddles with the guitar, her daddy's guitar, and he about to fucking snap the fuck out and shit. So we seeing some of his drug rage popping out and such amongst. This is the moment where he decides that it's a good idea to do his medicine in front Jax after he just yelled at her for touching the guitar. Also imagine how that fucks up a child's mind, and how that ends up bleeding over into their life, of course, going unchecked. Whereas you drastically reprimand, scream on her for touching the guitar, and then you turn around and jovially do coke in front of her. You, her parent, let alone her father, who's supposed to be teaching her right from wrong, discipline, justice, if you will, scream on her for touching the guitar, and then you turn around and do coke in front of her. Now, how the fuck is she supposed to perceive right from wrong, the levels of right and wrong amongst the consequences that can come from that, and or that should come from that? I stick a pin in that right there. But also amongst this carries on over into her being on the playground. And y'all know how kids are. You do say one little thing around them, and then they go repeating it. But we get a child quite realistic and otherworldly scene of baby Jax taking pics of this, a library card, and a little manual vanity mirror. Child cutting the candy up on the mirror. That's like a Capri Sun straw, honey, about to go to town. Mama catch her just in the nick of time. She's showing her friends this on the playground, by the way. Mama catch her in just the nick of time. I'm like, honey, if she had done snorted that daggone pixie dust amongst them other little girls had done snorted that daggone pixie dust, this could have been set it off so freaking fast. My gosh. But Mama Lou catch her just in the nick of time, honey. Snatch up all that stuff, tell her go do something else. Go over there and cuss out Eddie, as she should. Because what the hell? He not even taking it serious. He over there, he ha-ha and shit. Clearly he is high, even in that moment. So, honey, as we proceed to give you R&B motherfuckers what you need, and what you need is Eddie goddamn ass banging on the door. I want to see my son. Head ass. Banging on the door, really, he trying to get in the house for whatever. Harassing Mama Lou. Mama Lou is not trying to let him in. Jax is up late at night trying to see what is going on. Honey. Okay, so we get, it's a whole lot of backing and forth in. Mama Lou is seen trying to set some sort of boundaries. So doing what she feels she should do amongst having, again, cognitive dissonance going on. Because okay, let me proceed with like the aspect of the excuses that she's making for Eddie as Jax is asking questions and saying certain things. Okay, at some point, Jax is a latchkey kid while Mama Lou is out. She tell her don't open the door for nobody, but of course she gonna open the door for her daddy. Daddy come in, somebody got something for her. He go in the kitchen, do his business, pass out on the floor, fucked up. Mama Lou come home, find him out of there. Okay, Jax ends up witnessing all of this, and all the while, Mama Lou is explaining it away, gaslighting her as a form of quote unquote protection. A lot of people would perceive this as protecting Jax. No, that doesn't protect Jax. And honestly, I don't feel like Mama Lou's priority in the moment was protecting Jax. I believe it was protecting her own sense of pride and Eddie's ego, and protecting her own reputation. So that trying to keep herself, Mama Lou, from looking like a weak ass bitch, trying to keep herself from appearing vulnerable and all of that. And don't get me wrong, self-preservation is a thing. All the while, being a pick-me, people-pleasing narcissist is also a thing. And that's what I see. That's what I see, that's what I sense, that's what I feel. A narcissistic, people-pleasing enabler that can very easily be mistaken as a foolish, hopeless lover. Because, I see myself fucking her up. Nah, so, all that being said, at this point, I feel like Mama Lou did not tell Jax. Another reason why Mama Lou didn't tell Jax about her situation is because she may feel herself like she brought it upon herself. And this leads me to verbalizing another reason why I feel like she told Paul first punk ass Paul from Being Mary Jane, that is. I feel like another reason why she told Eddie first, and it's also noted that she is on do not resuscitate. If anything is to happen to her, she don't want to be resuscitated. And she gave punk ass Paul from Being Mary Jane power of attorney. So power over all her shit. He got all the final say so and all of the shit, whatever happened if she can't decide for herself. And I feel like, as I feel, she feels that she manifested the disease upon herself from one, not being responsible for her own healing in a multitude of ways, amongst the way maybe the way that she enabled Eddie, but I feel like even more so the way that she has been a fucked up person to Jax. Not just a fucked up parent, a fucked up mom, but a fucked up person to Jax. And I feel like, amongst the biblical and spiritual elements of the show and symbolisms and such that are within the show, I feel like that is, I feel like that's definitely a thing here. Because as it concerns, what spiritual texts communicate about the treatment of children, and even more specifically how parents are supposed to treat their own children and consequences that they can face, karma that they can face as a result of not treating their children divinely designed type shit, truly leading with love from a pure place, failing to do so, especially willingly, more often than not. Yeah, I feel like she could very much so feel that not only did she bring a lot of her own hardships upon herself, but she brought her disease among herself. She could feel that way. And that being said, her being such a fucking narcissist and incapable of taking any responsibility and, recollection and reevaluation of self, she would then say, oh, punk ass Paul from Being Mary Jane, look at what you did to me. Be responsible for it. I've done this to my daughter enough. Now it's your turn. Now it's time for you to take care of me. And I want to be clear too, as I always make sure to be clear. Please do not wrap your identity or your loved one's identity up in everything. If the shoe don't fit, don't wear it, honey. Leave it on side the road. Don't even look at it. Okay? Because totally understand some shit just happens. And also, it is very much so a thing of people manifesting their spiritual sicknesses into their physical self. So yeah. And that's also why I feel like this episode has an intentional cognitive dissonance going on, for the sake of triggering the audience to unpack it, break it down, and make choices. And this episode is dealing a lot with choices. And it shows us Jax choosing to lean into putting her issues and anger and such with her mama to the side, at least trying to. I feel like she's I feel like she's misdirecting it though. I feel like in her efforts to put it to the side, she's misdirecting it. And I feel like the choice to what she feels like is forgiveness, which is in actuality her just kind of sweeping it under the rug for a minute. I feel like it's, as much as she is not calm in this episode, right? I feel like her choice is a calm before the storm. Because, Mama Lou goes through the surgery and she survives, it goes well, all that shit. She had a little hiccup, but everything's fine. And Jax asked her to come move in with her. I do not feel like Mama Lou is going to be the one that she ends up walking in on and having a panic attack because she find him, potentially laid out or whatever. I still feel like it's either her daddy or it's one of her kids. So yeah. Or one of my other side guesses could also be Ozzy. But that's like literally like my last guess. But anyway. So she asked Mama Lou come move in with her. Mama Lou go move in with her, until she get better, all that good shit. So especially having experienced my mama being a caretaker to her mama when she got sick, and a slew of other things happen, I can tell you very well that as much as illness can bring complete strangers out of people, illness can also bring the raw, uncut reality of a person out of them too. Like, you seen them videos where people be like, these motherfuckers got dementia, but they ain't forget how to be racist. You see, they got amnesia, but they ain't forget how to be racist. And in a nutshell, I feel like Jax is going to Because she is allowing herself to go ahead and face certain emotions that she has stuffed down for the sake of pouring all of her support and care into her mama, like really honoring the situation like she's supposed to. I feel like that's making room for her rightful anger. Because sometimes God, spirit, the universe, yourself, the God in you, your higher self, even your lower self, will have you give your all, unapologetically, unconditionally, will have you just lay all of the best of you out on the table for this person who you've been struggling with. Because your self, your inner guide knows that in finally doing this, you truly do not owe this motherfucker nothing. So it's like it's a setup for you reclaiming your senseful innocence. So when this person who is inevitably going to be themselves, inevitably bees themselves, you finally stand 10 toes down in who the fuck you are. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like that's what's going to end up happening. And we'll revisit that aspect in theory if and when the time comes. So there's another moment in the show, in the flashback specifically, where Eddie is officially exiting the picture. And Jax is asking the building questions like, and not necessarily Eddie is leaving the picture, they're leaving officially. Mama Lou is finally done with him. And I say that very intentionally. Mama Lou is finally done with him. Because I also feel like the gaslighting stories that Mama Lou was feeding Jax is what Mama Lou was saying to herself as an excuse to keep fucking with him. You know how Tyra Wallace ass people be like, I'm doing it for the kids, for the kids, for the kids. No, you gotta fuck him for the kids. You don't have to let him back in for the kids. You don't have to do all of that for the kids. You don't have to lie to the kids for the kids. Because none of that is for the kids and none of that is helping the kids. That's fucking up the kids. That's enabling, facilitating the fuck up environment and circumstance for the kids. It's also teaching them to glorify and romanticize it. Fucking up their sense of reality. All the way up and down to, is Jax is asking a billion questions like, okay, and then we're gonna link up with Daddy, and then Daddy's coming back, and then when Daddy comes back, and then when we're gonna get back with Daddy, and all of that. And Mama Lou say, stop asking all these fucking questions. Step the fuck out. She have a moment, tweak the fuck out, because it's a drastic, frustrating ass situation. Little girl over here just asking a billion fucking questions. But also, that's your goddamn consequence for lying. Don't get me wrong. I'm not negating the challenge of the situation. What I am acknowledging and saying is that in leading with love for real, you understand that that requires the truth. And if you manipulate other people, that's a reflection of you manipulating yourself. Like how Eddie, a drug addict, manipulates himself every time he reasons why he needs to take his quote-unquote medicine. Mama Lou manipulating herself on why she needs to keep fucking with Eddie. Ongoingly manipulating herself on why she needed to continue on with her second husband and allowing him to violate Jax how he was. And I just said in this, because Jax was like, he said he had a surprise for me and all this and that and the third. So Mama Lou takes one of his picks, his guitar picks that she finds. It's a guitar pick that was laying around from where he had fucking done drugs with it. And she washes it off and gives it to Jax, like that's what he left her. And so Jax has been holding on to it, as some symbol of hope and love, thinking that that's truly something that her daddy left for her. Daddy ain't leave her shit but pain and fucking lies and trauma and tisk. And so she's been holding on to this thing all based on a lie. Tisk, okay? For the kids, huh? Protecting the kids. Okay, anyway. So it's in present day at her friend, the pregnant girl, the pregnant lesbian therapist. I can never remember her name. I'm sorry. But they at her baby shower. And Jax is trying to keep it together. And she kind of ended up freaking out, running into her room. She about to try to get some cigarettes or a blunt or whatever. And then she takes out the guitar pick, settles herself. Again, she don't realize in this moment yet that she got that pick based on a lie. But Chanel comes in, checking on her, all this and that. She ends up telling Chanel that her mama got cancer and everything that's going on. Chanel ends up, pretty much counseling her through it as a real good friend. We get to see some good character growth from Chanel. We get to see her be a friend and emotionally supportive and big sister energy type shit to Jax, reciprocating energy that Jax has given her on a multitude of occasions, and even more so specifically last season as Chanel was going through her trial. So beautiful. Also in the midst of the baby shower, Sally from the Valley comes in. So Jax took a leave from work. She ended up telling, what's that boy name? Bitch ass nigga Bill. She ends up telling bitch ass nigga Bill that her mama had cancer. He encourages her to go ahead and take a leave, and he'll take over. He was very encouraging her to whatnot. I ain't giving him, too much on that just now because I'm not sure of his motivations between that. He seemed genuinely concerned, but he seemed like also he got a cognitive dissonance going on, and I don't care if it's mindless or mindful, good or bad, honey. He can't be trusted. When people, and that's the thing, when people have cognitive dissonance going on, be it like they're good or bad or whatever, they can't be trusted. No matter how cool they come off or whatever, they got a cognitive dissonance going on that they are not actively trying to figure out how to get. And even if they're in the act of trying to figure it out, you have to leave them alone while they figure it out because they're not trustworthy. You could get like terribly fucking hurt trying to, be close with someone who is going through cognitive dissonance as a person in their identity, in their heart space, as a lifestyle type shit. Yeah, their belief systems, all that. But yeah, so he done told Big Daddy and Little Daddy, he done told Sally from the Valley that Jack's mama got cancer. So Sally come in and say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about Mama Lou. Jack's like, well, how you know? She tried to lie and say Louis told her. Girl, why would Louis tell you that? You so stupid. See why you in the position you in, you stupid. But she ended up going ahead and confessing. And telling her Bill told her, and they fucking, she ended up, doing her thing and smoozing up on him and getting her a piece and letting her know all of the ins and outs. They both separated, they fucking with each other, all that shit. Just like, okay, cool, y'all do all of that what you do, and I'm moving on. Yep. So the next thing I'm gonna tap into is, after all of this, Jax is in church. And seems like, she's trying to reconnect with God as it concerns everything that's going on, give her some clarity, and potentially give some gratitude. In this moment is where Eddie, she ends up finding out through Eddie, her conversation with Eddie, because she ends up like, I always kept that pic that you left for me and this and that, da, da, da. He like, I ain't leave you no pic. I ain't leave you nothing. And so he like, I guess that's another moment where your mama is trying to big up his reputation and all that shit. That's supposed to be sweet. It's really fucked up. I also want to point out that in the scene, it's given like he's sitting in the darkness. The colors he have on, or he got on like red and gray and shit. She got on white. She's sitting right in the light. So again, other juxtapositions of cognitive dissonance and shit going on amongst an illusion of duality. But this nigga ain't shit at the fuck all. But that's what makes this shit so fucking irritating, because it's supposed to be a heartfelt moment, but it's hard to be heartfelt about it when it's based on a lie and bullshit. And this moment is also interrupted with Louis coming in to tell them that Mama Lou is ready and the surgery went through fine and all that good shit. And in the midst, we getting all these reflections and flashbacks and shit of Mama Lou and Jax having moments and good times and all of that good shit. And this is real dressed up. Almost like, she gonna die, but of course we already know that she's not gonna die. And she don't die. All that good shit. But also, again, with the lens that we're supposed to be looking at this through, I feel like we're supposed to be looking at this through, I feel like we're also seeing Jax trying to cope by forcing herself to remember all of the good things so that she can stop being mad for a second to be what she feel like she's supposed to be for her mama in this moment. And like I said, I feel like all that fucking rage is gonna come out somewhere in the next couple of episodes. Nah, the one thing that we did get about Ozzy in this episode at the very, very end, Daniel pulls up to the hospital. Of course, everybody's at the hospital because Mama Lou is at the hospital, all that good shit. But Daniel is pulling up because he done trade Krista in there, and she's talking about she there for a friend. Reference her as a female. But we find out that Alex is in the hospital. She done got beat the fuck up. And we catch her walking by on the slide talking about, I don't think he gonna be talking no more. He bangs up pretty bad. I don't think he gonna make it through the night. Like she set it up, like she had something to do with it. If she ain't set it up, if she ain't set it up, she might have put the finishing touches on it. But I don't know. He ended up flatlining. We're gonna see if he ended up dying, because we don't see no body. Then we ain't got no confirmation that he actually died. but we shall see. Also, Daniel is everlastingly getting slappy because he ended up coming across Jax. And he has to act like he there because he heard about the things and all of that. When very clearly, sir, you was there not only because you stalking Kristen for the sake of your job, but you also stalking her because you was fucking her and you worried about who else she might be fucking. Which means that your priorities is all over the place and out of whack. And you out of line and out of alignment. Unfortunate. And also, with the running theme of beige rage, because I feel like this is the first installment of Kristen's beige rage jumping out at us. But y'all, that's it. And with all that being said, y'all, if I do say so myself, honey, I have milked this cow dry. And I am thoroughly appreciative for the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these queenly quotas for the next time. And be sure to bless that comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you in all ways light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah.